This is a download from BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good morning, George. So the U.S. Congress has improved the spending bill despite some dragging their feet. Will the market react positively to this, or was it expected? What could be the long-term fallout for the economy from this move?
Good morning, Nadia. It was expected, and if it had not occurred, then there would have been a real problem. But let's take a look at it, because it does say quite a bit. It was narrowly passed, and it was after a rancorous debate that reflected, one, the new Republican power, and two, the disarray among the Democrats after their losses in the midterm elections. The split in the Democratic Party dramatically burst into view when Nancy Pelosi, who's been quite vocal and very much in the news, she is the minority leader, and she's been one of President Obama's most loyal supporters. She broke with the administration over a provision in the bill that would have rolled back regulation of the Dodd-Frank Act, that's banking. She spoke on the House floor in the early afternoon, expressing her strong opposition to the bill. The public support of the sweeping spending bill by the White House, which came just as she was making her speech on the House floor opposing it, was a rare public break with the minority leader. The final vote was also a blow to Mrs. Pelosi, and also to Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Democrat from Massachusetts, who led the charge against the Dodd-Frank rollback. In the meantime, on the Republican side, Mr. Boehner was able to build a coalition of 162 Republicans and 57 Democrats. This is a rare achievement for a Congress that, as you know, has been often operated along very strict party lines. The spending deal funds the Department of Homeland Security. This is a big issue, but only through February, at which point the Republicans will control both chambers of Congress, and they'll have leverage to try to curtail Mr. Obama's action with regard to immigration. So it really does set us up for a great debate on how we're going to go forward once Republicans are in power. Will they be able to come together and create some real action rather than the vetoing and the negative reaction to what the Democrats have been doing in the past?
Do you think people, though, they're a bit tired of this vetoing and negative reaction? I mean, pushing past that, the hope is that there'll be real reforms. Or what kind of reforms do you think will happen?
Yes, we do hope that we will not return back to what we've had in the past. The reforms that will occur will have to rely on the ability of the Congress, both Senate and the House, to come to grips with whoever is the president at the time, and to be able to go back to what the United States has been well known for in the past, which is negotiations on both sides, compromise, and moving forward in a way that, no, it's not completely acceptable to either side, but it does move forward and gives both sides some of what they are looking for as well as not want. We need to get back to that. There is a hope at this point, and the real window that we have is between now and the 2016 election, Nadia, because if it doesn't occur, then the Republicans are going to have a very hard time with 2016.
Oil slide has not stopped, and it was a virtual bloodbath for the markets in Europe on Friday. Is this how the Eurozone is going to end the year, and as well as go into the first quarter of 2015? Also, how much of this is due to the going-ons and the worries at Greece?
Well, the fundamental background, the fundamental reason for the concerns that are developing for now, the end of the year and the first quarter, really do rely on what's happening in Greece. Greece is still the Eurozone's Achilles heel. It is very hard to understand how a sovereign nation that should never have been allowed to join the Euro in the first place and should have departed in 2010 be again rewarded for failing to deliver on its side of the bailout bargain by being allowed more time to comply. But of course, the United States, I don't think, would have acted any more positively if the United States wasn't the United States and had the same political process that the Eurozone had. So we're looking, and of course the price of oil should be helpful, but it's a surprise of oil prices that has been moving the markets, and I don't see that changing from now to the end of the year. So we are going to have some volatility marked by some real fundamental concerns about Greece.
Shinzo Abe is actually won his snap elections. It cemented his position, but there are criticisms of voter apathy. And this is, the results coming from voter apathy rather than an unshakable confidence in Abenomics. Will this mean, though, that nothing will change for Japan?
Well, it is he had to do the election. He really had to, and it did accomplish what he was looking for. One of the concerns we have, and we're beginning to see, he may use the extended mandate not to push for the longer-term structural reforms which are needed to boost Japan's competitiveness. That's what we would like to see happen. That's the third arrow of his Abenomics. But it may be used more to pursue matters closer to his heart, such as the redrafting of the country's pacifist constitution. That's really not going to help Japan in the long term. So we are hopeful that he will use this. A part of it, of course, as you were saying, is not a real strong support for him, but the fact that there's a lack of opposition to it. There's a lack of support for the opposition. And so the fact that there was such a low turnout really doesn't help convey the message that he was hoping to have conveyed by this. But it does give him the necessary support to move forward with Abenomics, and we're hoping that he'll focus more on that than on getting to other matters which he would like to pursue, but do not help boost Japan's competitiveness.
It was reported that China's growth may slow to 7.1%, according to the central bank. Will this spark another round of easing from the government, in your opinion?
I suspect that, yes, in my opinion, I do believe that there will be a need for further easing. China is making good progress on financial reforms, but that won't reverse the possibility and increasing probability of a soft landing. And now that China's the world's number 2 economy, this is important relative to the rest of the world. The good news is the policymakers have managed to avoid the hard landing that some have expected for China to have occurred by now. They've avoided that. That's the good news. China's slowdown may not be as temporary as people would like to believe. China still has problems to deal with that can't be solved quickly in housing and banking. China cannot be expected to be the sole engine of global economic growth, as it has been for many years. So a lot of the necessity for China to increase its monetary easing in the future will be what happens to Europe and then the United States in terms of trying to get the world back in sync with its developing progress.
That was Dodger Dolan, Chairman and Chief Investment Officer of Land and Fuse Capital Managers in New York.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my or find us on iTunes. BFM 89.9, the business station.